So there's different types of probability, which I'm going to say are, there's experimental, there is theoretical, and there is subjective. These actually have fancy science names. So experimental is empirical, so the empirical probability. I think theoretical is called a priori. And subjective, the fancy science name is, I don't think there's one, is the nonsense. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know what it is. So let's go through these three types. So experimental probability. There's a formula for that. So the probability of event A happening experimentally is the number of times event A occurs divided by the number of trials. Let's do an example. Okay, so you roll 10 six-sided dice. And the results are, let's say you roll a 3, a 4, a 1, a 2, a 4, another 4, a 6, a 2, a 4, and a 1. So those are the results. You roll the dice 10 times, and that's what you actually rolled. So experimentally speaking, the question is, what is the probability of rolling a 4? And what's the probability of rolling a 5? So the probability of rolling a 4, we rolled it 10 times, we got a 4 once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. So it's going to be, so the event occurred 4 times, there was 10 trials. So it's going to be 4 out of 10, or 40%. The probability of rolling a 5, on the other hand, we rolled 10 times and we got a 5, a grand total of never. So experimentally speaking, it's impossible to roll a 5. The probability is 0%. And, I mean, maybe that's accurate, maybe it's not. Maybe there isn't a 5 on the die and we just don't know that yet. That's experimental probability. And that just dropped. Theoretical probability. So theoretical probability is more of a calculation. That also has a formula. And the formula, it has a caveat, an important caveat. If all outcomes are equally likely, and that's often true, that's actually not that unusual. If you roll a dice or you're picking cards, then all outcomes are equally likely. So we're going to say that the probability of event A in that case is going to be NA over NS, where NA is defined as that's going to be the number of outcomes, so of all the number of outcomes in which event A occurs, and an S, and you may recall the S from the Venn diagrams. S was the universal set, so it's the number of things in total. So in other words, NS is going to be total number of outcomes. So the probability of something happening is the number of outcomes in which the event occurs over the total number of outcomes. So for example, I might say that, I was going to do an example, that I want the probability of rolling a 4 on a 6-sided die. So the probability of rolling a 4, so you may or may not recall there were 6 possible outcomes. Right, the 6 possible outcomes were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So number of ways of getting what we want, 1. And the number of total possible outcomes, 6. And that's going to be 1 out of 6. So in this unit, what are we going to be looking at? This is what we're going to be doing. Theoretical probability is the one that we're going to be interested in. We're not really going to do much of experimental or subjective. That said, we should discuss subjective. I'll do the next video.